The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. The F&M Schaefer Brewing Company raises a glass of cold Schaefer beer in your honor, and Lucky Strike's blowing smoke rings at you from the studios of Comfortably Zoned Radio. And once again, it's time for Dodgers baseball, a tale of two cities from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. We hope you enjoy the show. I'm your host, Peter Trunk. My co-host, as always, is Ron Rabinovitz. Ron, how are you?
Good, Peter. I'm glad to be back and glad to talk to you.
I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you're improved. We were all thinking about you, and you have many, many, many friends. I don't have to tell you this. You have many, many friends, both on Facebook and in regular life, and we're all pulling for you to get better. You sound great.
I feel great, too. I'm excited about tonight's show.
All right, cool. I want you to explain to our listeners about tonight's guest and what we're going to be talking about tonight. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay. Howard Cole is a regular contributor for Forbes. He is a nonfiction generalist with a specialty in sports and current events. Among his credits are hundreds of articles published at the Orange City Register, LA Weekly, Rolling Stone, The Guardian, Prevention, and the Jewish Journal, among the many, many more. In his early life, he produced news talk radio, worked boxing press operations for the 1984 Olympics, and delivered pizzas in Beverly Hills with Tim Robbins. Howard Cole is the founder, director of IBWAA, the Internet Baseball Writers Association of America. Howard has been blogging since Y2K and has a terrific blog that I follow all the time about our beloved Dodgers. It's an honor to have you with us, Howard. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, guys.
Great.
Welcome.
Great. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Dodgers in the winter meetings and beyond, and what you've heard and what you know.
Well, I checked Major League Baseball MLBTR, which is Major League Baseball Trade Rumors.com. I probably checked that website 200 times a day, looking for all the rumors and what's coming down the pike. And then I switch back and forth between ESPN and the MLB network, because I'm addicted. I can't go a day without knowing what's going on. And, I remember when I was younger, let's say from the early 60s through the 80s, the off season, the Hot Stove League, it was a much different thing. I mean, the idea of even having news about your favorite team on a daily basis was just unthinkable. I don't know how we did it. But now, it's 365 days a year. So, the Dodgers made it to the seventh game of the World Series, so this is their shortest off season in history, because the earlier days it was no playoffs, just straight to the series. Yeah. So it's been a lot easier for me to make it through, or about 60 days until pitchers and catchers report. I can't wait. But in the meantime, I'm happy to follow the Hot Stove. I enjoy it very much.
I love it too.
It's exciting.
So what are you hearing about the Hot Stove?
Well, they're trying to be careful with the tax threshold, and the salary cap. The so-called salary cap is $197 million for 2018, and the Dodgers have been over it several years in a row. So they're in the maximum penalty. They pay a 50% surtax on it every penny that they spend over $197 million this off season. But if they go $40 million or more over.
$40 million or more over. Hello?
I think his
Hello?
phone dropped out.
Oh,
I think his phone dropped out, Ronnie.
okay. Huh.
Let's see if he calls back.
Yeah.
See if he calls back. Maybe his chin hit the receiver of his
be.
cell phone or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see if he has the wherewithal. Maybe he'll call right back.
It'll still be the highest in baseball.
There you are. There you are.
They can do plenty with that money. And then next year they'll probably get under the threshold and the whole thing resets.
Good. Yeah.
I think you should be aware, Howard, that for the last 15 seconds we heard nothing that you said. I think your phone dropped out and then it came back on.
And I'm sorry, I lost you for about 30 seconds earlier, so I wasn't sure what was going on.
Okay.
Do you want to start again?
No.
I think we just keep going.
No problem. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
I have a question.
No problem.
I have a question for you. Everybody was so hot to trot with Giancarlo Stanton coming to the Dodgers. And to tell you the truth, I really was not, personally. But I didn't want to upset the apple cart. All of my close friends were very excited, and they thought it was going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. I personally thought it was going to suck because I thought it was going to be not unlike the Yankees with A-Rod. And I tried not to go on Facebook and gloat after the Dodgers did not get him. I would like your take on that whole thing. What's your personal take on that?
I understand that completely. I mean, at first I was against it, and then I kind of came around, talked myself into it, really. But I'm kind of glad that it worked out the way it did. I mean, Stanton going to the Giants would have just been awful. The Cardinals, if he had gone to the Cardinals, that would have been bad, but not quite as bad. But so, as long as he's safely tucked away in the American League, I'm okay with it. I mean, those 10-year contracts, any of those contracts that are, more than 5 or 6 years are just, they never work out. I mean, absolutely never. And I can think of one. Manny Ramirez, I don't remember what year it was, 2000 I don't know, maybe it was the year 2000. He signed an 8-year contract with the Red Sox for $160 million, and he's about the only one that produced for the entire contract without just either disappearing due to injury or lack of production. And of course, he had to cheat with drugs in order to do that. But these long-term contracts, Stanton's not gonna. It's not gonna work out for 10 years. And he's had his injuries, and there's no DH in the National League, so it would have been really difficult. But exciting for a few years while they played well. So I'm okay with it.
I'm so glad he's not playing for the Giants.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple of shows ago, I think it was 2 shows ago, I cautioned my fellow Dodger fans, Bernie Rose and Linda Wilson, on being too, not that they were, I'm just saying I shared with them my thoughts, like all the Dodgers have to do is go down the 5 and see what their friends, the Los Angeles Angels, did when they signed Albert Pujols to a ridiculous contract. And like you said, it never works out, never. And I'm glad they didn't. Now, I see by paging through my Facebook and stuff the last couple of days that you, Howard, are saying that perhaps Ozuna or Yelich would be a better fit for the Dodgers, and yet when I see what Andrew Friedman said, he's not even remotely interested in either Ozuna or Yelich. What are your feelings about that?
I don't know about that. He's just not sharing it with us.
Okay.
That's right.
So, I mean, Stanton kind of, the outfield wasn't their first priority for the off season, but that doesn't mean they won't address it, if something comes up. And what they like to do is they like to wait and see where the bargains are later in the off season, and they always come up, and they're going to this year again. But I think Yelich is signed for $5 million for this coming year. So any team in baseball can handle that.
Right.
Except for the Marlins, I guess. But
right.
yeah, he's a great. Osuna, they're both great players. I think Yelich is more consistent and always with the high on-base percentage, always with a solid batting average, and steals a few bases and plays good outfield. I like both players a lot. I think the Dodgers need a left-handed bat more than a right-handed bat. But I think they'll keep an eye on that, and they'll see what the offers are. And if they can make a better offer, I think they will go for it. But they're not going to tell us about it. So,
right.
Yeah,
right.
I wouldn't. Andrew Friedman really keeps it close to the vest. I wouldn't. I pretty much everything that comes out of that front office is spin, and they're good at it. And even Dave Roberts has learned how to do that. I mean, somebody asked him today about Adrian Gonzalez, and I think his quote was, it was something like, I see him being with the Dodgers and playing for us next year now. It was something like that. I see him being there now, meaning in 5 minutes after this conversation, he might not see it that way.
Right. I don't see them
between the lines. Go ahead, Ronnie. Go ahead.
Howard, I don't see them looking for starting pitching. I think they're looking more for relief. Are you surprised about that?
No. Again, it's they only have a certain amount of money to play with.
Right.
But again, if something depends on what they spend. If they, they'll probably sign one relief pitcher, see what kind of bargain they can get, and then maybe a second one. And then if there's money left over, they'll get a starting pitcher too. I think they can get all three.
Sure.
So
sure.
By my calculations, I think they have about $23 million to play with as it stands now. And if they trade Yasmani Grandal, which is, some people think that's what they're going to do. I'm not sure that I want them to, because you have to have two good catchers. If they trade him, then that'll give them an additional $8 million to play with. That's what he's expected to get and estimated to get in arbitration. And if they were to trade Brandon McCarthy, that's another $11.5 million. And even Adrian Gonzalez, he's due $22.5, and he's got a no trade. But they might be able to dump him off and to somebody who needs a first baseman later in the off season, and maybe they pay $17 or $18 million, which sounds like a lot, but if you can save $4 or $5 million, then that's you can get something with that. So I think they'll end up with a starting pitcher too, if it's at all possible.
Good. I hope so. I was sorry to see Morrow go.
Sorry?
I was sorry to see Morrow go to the Cubs.
Yeah, me too. But that's a money thing as well. And he's been injured his entire career. I think he kind of, the Cubs are willing to take a chance, but I don't know that he's going to make it through a season, let alone two.
Right.
Especially
he sure had a good year.
Yeah, and he's never been a closer, so.
No. All right.
It'll be interesting to have Kenley Jansen. So I guess they don't want to spend $10 million a year for 2 years on a setup guy.
Right. Interesting.
But once they get below the cap, below the threshold next year, then they can do almost anything.
Right.
Because they've got a lot of young players making major league minimum or a bit more than that, and the Kershaw will be the only expensive contract, and that's assuming he doesn't opt out.
I hope he doesn't opt out. That would be terrible.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on that.
Let me ask you a question. Next year, are there a lot of good free agents, pitchers and hitters that you know of?
Well, Dallas Keuchel, I believe, is one of them, and everybody's talking about Josh Donaldson and Manny Machado, who apparently Baltimore may trade now, and Bryce Harper. And again, it's with those guys, the long-term contracts, the 6, 8, 10-year contracts. I don't know that the Dodgers are going to go for any of those guys either.
I don't think they are either. They don't like those. They've been burned so many times with long contracts. I agree with you. I don't know.
When Matt Kemp Matt Kemp signed his.
Right.
He was an Iron Man at the time. He had a consecutive game streak. He played 162 games a year. And then the next year he had a couple of hamstrings and a shoulder and he's still a good player, I suppose, but it just hasn't, guys can break down and that's what happens.
Sure.
Even to a guy,
That's
and then you look at a guy like Bryce Harper and he's been hurt several times already in his first 5 or 6 years.
Sure.
So it's just,
exactly.
I don't think they're going to sign him either.
No, I don't think so either. I think it would be too much for him, for us.
I think Bryce wants to go to the Cubs. His best friend is Chris Bryant. I think he's going to the Cubs, Harper.
Really?
Machado's another story.
Wrigley would be a great place for Harper. He'd hit 1 million home runs there.
Yeah, he could. He could.
Nice high grass and to soften the blow on his knees for 8 years.
Yeah, right. So. Exactly. Yeah. So, what do you think about next year?
I think they'll be fine. I mean, the one thing I worry about is health of starting pitchers. I mean, they have all these guys. I mean, the entire rotation is really 6 or 7 deep with the injury history.
Right.
So and Kershaw's had missed time with the back injury the last 2 years, and those things rarely get better with age.
Right.
And Hill is 37, and he's had a million injuries, and Wood has been hurt. Wood was throwing, his fastball was down several miles an hour, I guess 5 or 6 miles an hour in the second half of the season. He's had his injury history, and obviously McCarthy and Casimir and Ryu, so all of them, and even Walker Buehler, the young kid, had Tommy John, and he'll be on an innings limit. And Julio Urias, who knows if he's coming back, but if he is, he'll be on a limit too. I mean, 100 innings would be about as much as I think they would let him go. So it's the injury history, and some of the analytics guys are down on innings eaters. A guy that throws 200 innings every year, but you really do need those guys.
Yes, you do.
I mean, the Dodgers. I mean, I don't think anybody pitched 150 for the Dodgers last year, and they won't. They might not again this year.
Right.
No, they won't.
I agree with you.
They won't. I think they're going to be going 5 innings. It's going to get worse before it gets better, if it ever does get better. I mean, for starting pitching, not only on the Dodgers, but Major League Baseball in general. They're going to have 6-man rotations. You're going to see some crazy stuff in the near future. I want to get your take on Rick Honeycutt not being able to ascertain Darvish giving away his pitches. What's your take on that, Howard?
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Actually, what I had heard was, and I can't tell you where I heard this from, but what I heard was that around the trade deadline in July, when Darvish had a couple of those real meltdowns, I think he gave up 10 runs in one game before they could get him out of there. And what I heard was that he was freaking out emotionally about being traded and was dry heaving in the dugout, like in between innings. And just, there was a big emotional thing. And the Rangers figured, well, let's make up this story about tipping his pitches, because that's a better one than not being able to handle the spotlight. Yeah. And we sure saw in the World Series, that he could not handle it. So I don't blame Honeycutt for that, and I wouldn't touch Darvish with a 10-foot pole.
Right. You wouldn't? No.
No. Well, I mean, if he said, okay, 1 year, $10 million, sure, but that's
right. That's not going to happen.
How about Arrieta from Cubs?
I wouldn't touch him either.
No.
I wouldn't touch him either. He's had his best years, and he's already not the pitcher that he was. And he's going to go for 140, 150, 160 million dollars. It's just, I wouldn't touch him. Better to trade. That's why I wanted them to trade for Verlander last year, because at least they'd, you couldn't predict that he would he would have that great second half as good as it was. But he was a pretty reliable, star pitcher, and he has 2 more years on his contract, and the Dodgers could have used that. So not only did they not get a World Series victory, they're still in need of starting pitchers going forward.
Right.
Sure.
But that was a money thing too. I mean, I think he's got like $50 million or so left on his deal, or maybe $55 million. So they, it's just you can't have everything you want.
How about the two young kids, Seager and Bellinger, not being able to hit that inside curveball, inside breaking ball? Does that had me stunned? Not that it happened the first 2 or 3 times, but when it happened 100 times, I was stunned. I've been watching baseball for a long time. I never saw guys keep going after the same pitch 1.5 feet off the plate and missing it by a foot. I couldn't believe my eyes. I saw it, but I couldn't believe what I was seeing. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, they're really young players, and Seager was out. He had that elbow thing, and I think he lost his timing. I mean, I understand that, and he does swing early in counts, and but he's a great young player. They're both great young players. I mean,
sure,
Bellinger,
absolutely.
Bellinger still contributed with some big hits, and you're facing the best pitching in baseball, and the spotlight of the World Series. And I can't say enough positive about those two things. And with Bellinger even more so, because I think he's an absolutely spectacular first baseman and a really good outfielder too. And,
yes, he is.
Best center fielder on the team. Bellinger's the best center fielder on the team, I think.
Well, I would leave him at first base, but yeah, he could play it. And I think Seager's a great hitter. I don't think he's that much of a shortstop. I mean, not to be a finalist for a Gold Glove, but
yeah.
But I think it's okay. I mean, in my book, I mean, if you're gonna, we always talk about, or we used to always talk about, the best hitters fail 7 out of 10 times. If you're gonna hit 300 and you're gonna make 200 and some odd outs per season, maybe it doesn't matter that 125 of them are strikeouts. Maybe. I mean, there's only so much you can ask for from guys like that. I think they're both great hitters. Absolutely spectacular.
The Yankees are going to find out next summer if a lot of strikeouts are detrimental to them. Because they're going to have 2 guys in their lineup that are going to strike out almost 400 times between them. Anyway, let's get back to the Dodgers. Let me ask you this question. What are you hearing about Toles? Is he going to be recovered? I read that he's not going to be ready until June. Then I read the very next day, he's going to be up and running in March in Arizona. What do you hear about Toles?
Well, I mean, it's a serious injury. I mean, who knows? But I hear he'll be fine by spring training. So, they're not going to guarantee that. I mean, a platoon of Andrew Toles and Kike Hernandez, if you just go by the numbers and look at how Toles hits against righties and how Kike hits against lefties, that would be a really good platoon. But there's no guarantees that, especially with a guy like Toles, that he's never had a full season in the majors. So I think that's why they're looking at these other outfielders. They may not be admitting to it, but if you have a chance to get Yelich or Ozuna, then those other 2 guys are bench guys. Kike's already a bench guy, but I think Toles will be ready. Who knows? I just don't know how productive he'll be. He might be, he might come in and hit 300 with a on-base percentage of 350 and maybe knock in 60 runs with 15 homers in the platoon, and that might be great. But who knows? You just there's no. Yeah, but it's worth going. It's worth not making left field the top of your wish list when you have other things that you need more. So, but I think he'll be okay health-wise.
Howard, what's going to be with Jock Peterson?
That's a good question. I could see him being traded, before the end of this phone call. or by spring training. I think he's an extra outfielder at this point. I mean, it's great that I love guys that can rise to the occasion in the postseason, and I give him all the credit in the world for that, because a lot of guys go the opposite direction. But I don't think I'm not convinced that he's ever going to be a really solid, consistent major league hitter. And I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't know.
I happen to agree with you.
Howard, how many years have you been watching the Dodgers?
50.
So you started when?
52.
Started watching
52.
the Dodgers.
I'm 59, so my memories go back to the mid '60s. So and really, 67, 68. That's when I really remember. So the 2 years right after Koufax, those two horrible seasons.
Yeah, they were horrible.
So basically 50 years. But what I lack in youth, I make up for in oldness.
There you go. Ronnie and I are probably the two biggest Dodger fans going. And I say that, and I'm going to get in trouble with Bernie Rose and Linda Wilson, but big Dodger fans. And I've been watching the Dodgers an awfully long time. I mean, I watched them before we had a television set. How's that? I used to go to my friend's house to watch them. We didn't even have a TV set. But I've been watching them for a very, very, very long time. And my favorite Dodger, I'm just going to bring this up because I got to get it off my chest. I haven't said it on one of my shows yet, and I have to say it on the air. I saw Duke Snider hit a lot of home runs. I also saw Duke Snider hit a lot of home runs in the World Series. When Jock Peterson hit the home run in the World Series last year, and he danced around the bases with his hat coming off, and he pointing and dancing and pointing and everything, I actually was embarrassed. I was embarrassed. Now, I know the stock answer, other people, he's just, this is 2017. The kid was pumped up. It was unbelievable. He rose to the occasion. No one expected him to do it. And his parents were there and this and that. I saw Duke Snider hit home runs in the World Series in the third deck in Yankee Stadium. Put his head down and trot around the bases. And they won bowl games. They beat people like Whitey Ford and stuff. When Jock Peterson hit that home run and danced around the bases like that, I said, what the hell is he thinking? And I said to my wife, Linda, at the time, I said, I'll bet you before next opening day, he is traded. And she said, why? I said, mark my words, he'll be traded. Somebody is going to dislike that run around the bases as much as I did. And I happen to agree with you. I think he might be traded before the end of this phone call.
If he gets traded to Miami, he's never going to get a chance to run around the bases in the World Series again. So,
Yeah.
But I know. It was funny. I was actually thinking about that today and what I would do in that situation, and I would just run around the bases quickly and kind of just toss my helmet off to the side, just like Mickey Mantle used to do. But I understand that one doesn't bother me that much. I mean,
no, it doesn't bother me that much.
There are problems with players in the clubhouse that some of which we know and some of which we don't know. And I don't think that a home run trot would be a deciding factor. I just think they're going to trade him because they've got enough outfielders. And
the old saying though, Howard Cole, is that the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, you could do a lot of little things here and there and here and there and here and there, and then once you do that.
What
was
Peter,
that?
You there?
Yeah.
Valid option.
Yeah, I lost you for a
Here
second.
we are.
I'm glad you're back.
I have no clue what that means.
If they do trade for an outfielder, a productive, consistent hitter, then I think he'll be traded. I also think Alex Verdugo might be traded.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think so too.
So
I think so too.
You can't really judge maybe by that tiny sample size when he came up and on September and he hit 150 or whatever he had 120. but he's got some attitude things as well. And
Yep.
you know, there was one incident, more than one incident in the minor leagues last year, or in his minor league career, and there was an incident last year when he came up and he was late one time, and you know, if they can trade him while he has some high value, again, if they have more outfielders, I think
Right.
I don't think they'll hesitate. If they could get somebody like Chris Archer, and they have to trade, you know, their top offensive prospect, I mean, I don't think they'll hesitate. I wouldn't.
Right. Neither would I. Neither would I.
Do you think with Adrian Gonzalez not showing up for the World Series, do you think that put a big problem in there or something, or no?
Yeah, that was disappointing.
It was. I was very.
It really was very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for Cody Bellinger, and Gonzalez was healthy, you know, we'd never hear about it again. But since they don't, you know, they have a great first baseman. You know, if there's any way they can trade Gonzalez, I think they will. I mean, they could even try to buy him out. You know, if they, you know, if he's going through his rehab and he's doing whatever he needs to do in the off season, and he isn't really feeling well, you know, it wouldn't be unprecedented. They could come to him and say, okay, look, $12 million, $13 million buyout. I mean, he can just go, you know, he can go and retire and get $12 million without having to lace him up even one more time. And it might even be $15 million, but any money they save is worth it.
But if he stays, if he doesn't take that bait, he gets his money.
Yeah, which would mean they would just have to release him.
Yeah.
And they would. They would. If he's,
they probably would.
If he comes to spring training and he's hitting these little ground balls to the first baseman like he was
The
doing.
last time I saw a ball player leave that much money on the table was Kadire with the Mets. And
that's
strong rumor.
He wasn't that
strong rumor in New York was because he was going to be outed as taking PEDs. He was a roid user. And that's why he walked away from, what was it, $17 million he walked away from? Something like that?
Something like that.
That's absolutely amazing that anyone would even believe for 1 minute, 30 seconds, that a guy left $17 million on the table because he was too proud to come back and hit 188. Nobody's too proud to come back and hit 188 if you're going to make $17 million.
Right.
The guy was using steroids, and I don't see Adrian Gonzalez leaving money anywhere. The Dodgers could try to buy him out, but what is he slated to make? $21 million or $20 million? What is his salary?
How much?
22.5.
Okay, 22.5. If you're going to make Howard, if I'm going to pay you 22.5. And I come to you and I say, listen, this isn't going to work. You're not feeling well. I'll give you $15 million and you quit. You'll say, take a hike, Peter Trunk. I'm not leaving that money on the table. I want my money. I signed a contract. It's an ironclad contract. Yeah. The Dodgers won't be able to buy him out, and no one's going to take him. And if they do, the Dodgers will have to pay upwards to $15 million on that salary. The Dodgers are screwed, just like they were with Carl Crawford. And the Mets were with Bobby Bonilla, and I could go on and on. It'd take another hour, but we don't have that much time. So, but you know, again, this reverts back to the beginning of the show when I was agreeing with you that the Dodgers did not make a mistake in heavily pursuing Giancarlo Stanton. It would have hamstrung them for a long time. And it would have come out very ugly in the end. Sure, he would have 2 or 3 or 4 great seasons, but the last 6, 7, or 8, or 5 or 6 or whatever would be horrible.
Right.
You know, and Adrian Gonzalez, he's far from a lingerer. I mean, that was the first time this past season was the first time he'd ever been on the DL in his life.
Yes.
Right.
You know, at 35, and you have back problems. I mean, it's just, you know.
It's amazing.
I don't know. It's possible he could come back from it. You know, and maybe if he comes back healthy and he lifts the ball and hits some home runs in spring training, and somebody has an injury and they need a first baseman, and you know, if they can get him for $4 million, $5 million, then why not?
Yeah.
But that's a lot of ifs.
Yeah.
That's a lot of ifs. But baseball being
Howard,
the way it is, those ifs come true a lot of times. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Howard, do we have another Rookie of the Year coming down the pike, or what do you think?
I don't think so. Not this coming season.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But an embarrassment of riches. So
right.
Nobody's had more than the Dodgers. And I don't think so. I don't know that Alex Verdugo is that guy. I don't think he is. And,
I don't think he is either.
And Walker Buehler, I'm not sure if he'll be officially a rookie. I think he will be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll still be a rookie. But
I think he'll be a rookie. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to limit his innings, and somebody, I think Dave Roberts or maybe it was Andrew Friedman. Somebody today said that they're going to have him come back as a starting pitcher next year. So if that's
right, I heard that too.
He's only going to be good for about 130 innings, 140 maybe, including October. So they have to be careful with him. I don't think they're going to stick to that though. I think he'll spend some time in the bullpen.
Yeah. Do you see any good rookies coming up anywhere? I mean, or in the minor leagues, some real good ball players?
Well, they've got a lot of pitchers. They have more pitchers than they know what to do with.
Yeah.
And, that's why I think maybe they're going to part with one or two of them or more.
Kid Alvarez. Who's Alvarez?
Pardon me?
Who is Alvarez?
I
just have a kid.
Yeah.
I just have a kid named Alvarez.
People talk about him.
Yeah.
But I don't have his numbers in front of me, but the last time I looked, his minor league numbers weren't that impressive. So I'm not exactly, and I can't say that I've seen him pitch, but I'm not sure exactly what the hype is with him.
Okay.
But they've got a guy named Mitchell White, who I think he pitched at all three levels. I might be wrong. Maybe it was just single A and double A, but I think he made it to Oklahoma City by the end of the year. He's another one of those guys, kind of like Buehler, that might jump to the majors next season.
You know about Willie Calhoun?
Yeah, well, he's with Texas now. He went in the Darvish trade.
Yeah, that's right.
But they've got some hitters. Edwin Rios is a stick, and I think I'm not sure again if he was at Tulsa or Oklahoma City. I think he was at OKC. They've got a couple guys like that. But, and then there's always surprises. And I don't know about a Rookie of the Year. I think we may have to skip a season.
I think we're going to have to skip a season too. What do you think of Dave Roberts?
I like him.
I
like him. He disappointed me a couple times during the season, but what manager isn't going to? I was not a fan of Don Mattingly at all.
No, I wasn't either.
I just didn't think I just think it was beyond the scope of his abilities. He couldn't think fast enough, and he just wasn't at his best in the playoffs. If anything, the exact opposite.
Right.
And you're talking about Mattingly.
He never took responsibility for anything,
and everything was somebody else's problem.
I don't like the way he handled.
We switched from Roberts to Mattingly. We switched from Roberts to Mattingly. It sounds, if I were just a casual listener to the show, I'd think you were still talking about Roberts. We switched to Mattingly very silently almost, and then the negatives came out. I didn't like, get back to Roberts, I didn't like that he used Jansen in relief in a 6-1 game. When Dodgers were up 6-1 in the World Series in the 9th inning and brought in Jansen, I turned to my wife again. I said, he's going to need him. Why is he using him now? Why is he going to make this guy throw 25 pitches when he doesn't have to? He's got a 5-run lead. This is going to come back to burn his butt, and it came back to burn his butt. But like you said, what manager doesn't disappoint fans every now and then?
Exactly.
Remember how much Ned Yost 3 or 4 years ago, the heat that he used to take, then he won a World Series, and I don't know that the heat ever really stopped, but
no, right.
They won.
What an idiot that guy is, and then
I think they won the World Series despite Ned Yost, but that's another story for another time. I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank
Howard
you for
Cole.
having me, guys. It was fun.
I want to thank you for coming on, and we had a good time. And I would like to ask you right now to please come back and join us again in the future. We'll talk more about the Dodgers, when and if these winter meetings come out with some crazy moves. Maybe, somebody's moved to the Dodgers, and we come back on and talk all about it. Would that be okay with you?
We'd love to have you.
And remember, glove conquers all.
Right, right. That's always on your phone. Always. That's right. Now,
Very
if I
good.
hang up this phone and I hear that Jock Peterson was traded.
That's funny. That's right. Hang up the phone and go online. Peterson went to the Brewers for Ryan for Braun.
Right.
That's funny. That's funny.
Howard, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. It's such
Thanks,
a pleasure.
Thanks, Peter. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. You're
Take
very
care.
welcome.
Okay.
And like I said before, you're welcome back anytime, Howard. Thanks.
I'll be here.
Okay, great.
Thanks, bud.
Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye now.